Hey guys, what's going on? What's going on? It's your boy Rudy LaRose in the building, or rather, should I say, in the car. Listen, there is a story behind this. I promise you, you're gonna want to stay on and really be paying attention to this particular story because as of right now, I am in Tampa, Florida, about to head to South Florida as soon as I drop these nomads at the airport. But before I do, I want to say, first of all, a special shout out to everyone who's logging on today. Today is an opportunity for you to share with us, from what you're hearing, from what you're listening to. And if you're logging in, I want you to do a couple of things for me. Number one, I want you to say hashtag heart, put in
Yes, 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 yes. Of course, we're having a little disruption here because Rudy is on the road. But we're excited to be here at Confidence Factor, another heart level conversation that turns into transformation. And of course, always we bring to you some great value this week because we realize that so oftentimes that as you go through the process of life, there are going to be some things you got to deal with, right? So we're dealing with technology issues from time to time, but that's not going to stop us. So it sounds like Rudy's back. So go ahead and bring Rudy back on as we continue to, continue with the talk today. Rudy, what's going on, man? I know we
what's
deal
going
with, I know
Yeah,
we,
man. I feel like I'm a reporter on location. Guys, I'm in location in Tampa, Florida. Let me tell you what's going on. If you look
yeah.
over here, no, I'm just kidding, guys.
But listen, we understand, and of course, I know you're mobile, doing your thing, and of course, we want to bring on the trifecta for confidence factor, none other
Yes.
than the great Bobby B. So let's go ahead and bring Bobby B on. What's going on, Bobby?
What's going on, good people? Bobby B in the building, like your boy Rudy. Except Rudy's in the car.
I'm in the
What's up,
car
Rudy?
building.
You in?
Let's go.
Your correspondent, Rudy LaRose, is on location. Rudy.
Rita LaRosa on location. There you go. Right now, if you look on the top of the building, you'll see the man out there. They're trying to talk to him right now. And they call the confidence factor, boys. We think they're going to get the job done.
Yeah. Well, listen, we always get the job done. You know,
Oh,
regardless of the situation, the
that's right.
circumstance, and
That's
that's how
right.
the game. That's how the game of life works. The game of life is going to always toss obstacles, challenges at you, but you have to be bigger than any obstacle. You have to be bigger
Mm,
than any circumstance. You have to rise to the occasion when you're called upon. And so,
yes.
that's one of the things that we were doing this past weekend, right, fellas? We were rising to the occasion in terms of our commitment to our purpose. And
Yes.
as many of you guys know, our purpose is to inspire and empower entrepreneur minded men to pursue their purpose, right? By developing their confidence factor. And so this past weekend, we were in Tampa getting together, masterminding, really building a foundation upon which we're going to continue to serve in a big way. So Rudy's, of course, in the car. That's where he's still in Tampa. And we just did some amazing things this weekend. So Rudy, talk to me, man. What was happening in Tampa this weekend? We want to share a
Man,
quick.
in Tampa, oh my gosh, man, we had a chance to celebrate some of our famous people. I was gonna say favorite people, but famous came out of my mouth. I'm gonna
Mm.
stick with that. Some of our famous people, because y'all gonna hear their names very, very soon if you haven't already. But we had an opportunity to celebrate with some people. But what was so key about this particular weekend is as we were celebrated, we're always looking for key moments to learn and to grow, right? And so while we're celebrating this particular individual this weekend, we had an opportunity to behold. And I'm gonna use the word behold because it's for me to say that we saw it, it's not enough. We beheld this particular situation happening at the beach. And so what
Yeah.
happened was this
But hold
individual.
on a second,
Oh,
Rudy.
don't share it
I'm
yet.
no, don't share, don't
Okay,
drop the
okay,
dimes
okay,
yet. Don't
okay,
drop
okay,
the
okay,
dimes yet, my
okay,
brother.
okay, okay,
Listen,
okay, okay.
I know
Lead
you're
the way.
excited. I know
I
you're
am.
excited to drop the dimes. But hold on, let me pull back the reins a little bit because I know your story is gonna be amazing. And you guys want to tune in and listen in. But before Rudy drops that story, we want to let you know exactly what we're discussing today, right? We want to let you guys know
Yes.
that
Yes.
it's all about competing versus winning. That's our discussion today. Why do men fail at building successful communities? What are some of the
Mm,
challenges that we have faced as we've been birthing this thing called confidence factor? And many of you who are watching right now, maybe you've been in a process in your life where you've owned a business or you've been trying to network, and over the years you've been growing your business and you've been dealing with the nagging question or maybe the nagging concern that, man, every time I try to join a community, I notice that it doesn't work. Every time I try to collaborate with the guys or men, that is always seems to be something that's stopping me from being able to really build quality and meaningful relationships. And so over the next two sessions, this session tonight and next session, we're going to dive deep into that consideration. We're going to dive deep into what that is. What is the one thing that's stopping men from being able to really, really come together in a meaningful way to win, right? And the show is appropriately named Competing versus Winning. What's the difference? We're going to explore that today. But of course, before we explore that, we certainly want to share with you guys a story that would really encapsulate the points that we're going to try to make in this overall discussion. And we're going to go deep dive into what we as CF Factor men really did to make sure that we put together a community, a platform, so that not only we win, but the men that are part of this community win and win big. So we're excited that you're here. Like Rudy said, go ahead and put hashtag heart level that you're here. As you know, we're always having heart level conversations that lead to transformation. So we're excited that you're here. And let us know where you're tuning in from, right? So whether you're tuning in from, as I'm in Orlando, Rudy's in Jackson, Rudy's in Tampa,
Tampa, Tampa.
and of course, my man Bobby B, Mr. Inspiration, is in Jacksonville, right? Okay. So as I was saying before, we had an opportunity to go down to Tampa this past weekend to get together and really collaborate and really mastermind and really put together like a video shoot and of course doing some photos and things like that because we're ready to take this thing to the next level. And as you continue to take this next level, you're going to deal with situations and circumstances. Even through that process, you're going to have learning lessons from. And so, we had a lot of learning lessons. We had a lot of opportunities to grow this weekend. And of course, we executed on our plan. So I just want to thank you guys for being here and joining us in one of these conversations that's going to be so transformative. And I'm excited to be here with the brothers. Bobby, so what's going on with you, man? Everything is good on your side?
Man, everything is great, brother. I'm
Yeah,
excited to be here, coming
yeah.
back from Tampa. I'm a little tired. We went like back to back to back to back,
Non-stop.
and when I came home, I jumped in. I had like 5 minutes to like get everything organized out of the car, and then I had back to back meetings. I had to jump on to get back to work. So I'm excited. It was a lot, but like you said, we got a lot done. We got a lot of stories to tell, a lot of things to share. There was a lot of growth, a lot of development. I'm just happy to be back home. I'll be honest. I'm happy to be back home. I had a lot of fun, but I couldn't keep at that rate for a long period of time. It was too much excitement. So I'm excited. I'm excited to be home.
But I'm glad that we had the opportunity to break bread and have a community, man, and just share with each other. I mean, I came back from that experience very refreshed. And I know many of you guys who are listening, a lot of you desire to have that. And that's what we have here at Confidence Factor, the ability to get together and just network and share, yourself in a very authentic way. So Rudy, talk to us, man. I mean, I know they've been waiting to hear this story for some time, man. We've been holding back the reins a little bit. But I want you to go ahead and share this story so we can set the framework for this conversation about competing versus winning, man.
Yeah, man. So while we're talking about, competing versus winning, it's
Hmm.
important to understand the difference. And so as we go and as we dive a little deeper into this topic, I want to share something with you that transpired this weekend. A lot of times, as men, it's easy to get together for the game, right? It's easy to get together for the car shows. It's easy to get together for domino night. Those of you from the islands, you know what I'm talking about. Man, listen, y'all go through some tables when it comes to domino, breaking the tables. I mean, all kinds of, like, listen, you don't have to slam the domino that hard. It's gonna be okay. We get it. You're passionate about your dominoes, right? And so this weekend, as we got together, I'm watching this. By the way, I'm watching this from afar all happen, and I'm just like flabbergasted as we're sitting on the beach and we're watching these individuals, go to on this journey, on this quest, almost like an Indiana Jones stop away, right? So they get into this canoe. Now, mind you, the canoe is meant for one person. Everybody type in the chat, one person, right? It's a one-person canoe. And so here's what's transpiring. I see this one person start taking the canoe towards the water and getting a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper. And I'm like, okay, they're just gonna get into the canoe and roll your boat, right? No, no. See, that would have been simple. That would have been the right way to use the tool that I now call the canoe. But what they decided to do instead, as a community, they decided not only that one person, but a couple of people, as in two people, decided that they were going to go on this Indiana Jones quest to get into this canoe. Let me slow this down for a second, because here's what was interesting about that. Two people getting into a one canoe boat. Not only they're trying to get into it, there's a swarm of people that decided to join in helping them achieve this near impossible task of getting into a canoe. So as they try to get into the canoe, one person gets in. Then it seemed like there was some water going on into the canoe, and all the commotion. And while the one person was what at least they thought they were in, the second person decides, I'm gonna go in too. And we all gonna canoe together and go away into the sunset. That's not
Wow.
what happened. They got into the canoe, and not only the canoe sunk, but they went under with the canoe. The moral of the story is, my mentor said, never tell a story without a point, and never have a point without a story. The moral of the story is, know who's getting in your boat. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the moral. The moral of the story is, the problem was not the canoe, guys. The canoe did what it was supposed to do. It was designed to do what it was supposed to do. The problem is that it was a one-person canoe. And a lot of times when we're trying to build community as men, what happens is something goes wrong, something goes awry. Somebody doesn't get in the way or fit in the way they're supposed to. We don't communicate properly what we're trying to do. While others are all trying to help to make things work, to make things, join together as cohesively, something goes awry and we say, yeah, I tried that community stuff and it doesn't work. But guys, we're
Mm,
here to tell you that it's not about the community that doesn't work, because when it's done effectively, when it's used as it's supposed to, we go from competing to get into the one kayak boat or one canoe boat at a time, to now getting onto the yacht, getting into
mm,
the luxury boat, getting into the cruise ship of life. Because why? Because we understand that we're building community. And the only way that we do that is if we can go from competing to winning. And guys, we're gonna break down that for you. But go ahead, Darian. Go ahead and help us
oh.
break that down for us.
Oh man, oh man. I was there for that moment, just kind of watching this unfold as I was there because I was one of the ones trying to hold the damn canoe up as it sunk. And man, I tried my best, but like you said, the canoe was only made for one particular person. And so everybody tried to jump in the canoe, and unfortunately, like you said, Woody, it flipped over. And so, what we have to remember, as Rudy said, is the canoe is built for what it's supposed to do. But when you have the wrong foundation, when you have the people coming into the canoe and there's an overwhelm of people in a canoe that's only built for one particular person, then it doesn't work. And that's what happens a lot of times with communities. Like people tend to join the community, right? And they don't bring the right mindset, they don't bring the right resources to the table. And unfortunately, the communities break apart. just like the canoe sinks, right? So if you don't apply the right skill set, if you don't apply the right mindset, you don't apply the right number of people in the canoe, then what happens is the canoe then sinks. And so that's what happens with communities a lot is communities don't work because there's a way in which we engage within community that doesn't allow for it to be successful, right? And one of the things we discuss, Bobby, is there's kind of this one thing that we know that men tend to bring to community and bring to the table that doesn't allow the whole community to work, or at least not allow for the space for it to grow. And that thing is the ego, right? There's ego, and ego really is. I'm gonna have you kind of describe it, Bobby. To read the definition of it, and then we can deep dive into the whole concept of ego. But we realize that this is one of the things that's really stopping the growth. This is one of the things that's really stopping us from propel forward because of this ego thing, right? So why don't we go into what the ego is, Bobby, and then let's kind of break that down a little bit so people can understand what's really stopping them from growing in a community or having successful communities and meaningful relationships within a community. What's your thought on
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. So yeah, so what we got, we looked up ego and we wanted to see exactly what this ego was. And the best definition that we came up with, and I'll read it straight off my paper here. It says a person's sense of self-esteem and self-importance. A
Mm,
person's sense of self-esteem and self-importance. And so before you jump back in, Darren, I want to go ahead and just acknowledge a few people. We have so many people joining us tonight. We have Tammy joining us. Nikki's joining us. We have Marie, Frederick. Thank you for spending the time tonight. Kelly has joined us tonight. Frederick is joining us as well. So these are some of the people that are here with us, and I just want to go ahead and acknowledge them. But yeah, so ego is basically a person's sense of self-esteem
yeah.
and self-importance.
Wow. Wow. Read that again. I want to make sure that everybody kind of gets that.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And maybe we can get it up on the screen as well. A person's sense of self-esteem
Hmm.
or and self-importance. A
Mm.
person's sense of self-esteem and self-importance.
Right. So self-esteem. So when we look at that, when you talk about a person's sense of self-esteem, right, related to ego, is and it kind of goes back to the way I relate to ego is the ego is kind of the thing that's the false self, right? Is a self that's there to try to protect you, right? To protect you from any sort of pending threat, right? So to me, the ego is like the part of us that as soon as there's some sort of opportunity for failure or some sort of opportunity for someone to disagree with us, if there's some opportunity for us to be wrong in a situation, then all of a sudden we try to veer away from those type of situations because ego is always that false self that wants to be right, always want to be protected, always wants to make sure it doesn't make it speak, always wants to be number one in the situation, right? So when we bring ego, that self-importance, right, that sense of that there is, I'm the only one, right? I should be number one in the situation, right? Or, that we are focused so much on self-interest in terms of making sure that, I'm protected, making sure that, that I look good. When we bring that first into an environment, then it disrupts our ability to be, effective with relating and connecting to people. Because as men, oftentimes our focus is to focus on survival. Our focus is to preserve, to make sure that no one is stepping on our toes, if you will, and to make sure that we always look good, right? To make sure that we're not making a mistake, or we don't want to be necessarily corrected. So there's a lot of feelings that we have when we bring into environments that doesn't really serve us in developing these great meaningful relationships. So that sense of self-importance, like it's all about me, and I have to make sure I protect myself from making sure anyone is going to hurt me or harm me any sort of way. That way of bringing yourself into a community doesn't really work. It doesn't serve you very well when you come into agreement with other men. And so we've all seen those situations play out. So when it comes to self-importance, that's one of the areas that I see can be necessary evil when it comes to trying to build a community with other men. What are your thoughts on the whole thing about self-esteem?
You know, You know what was very interesting is one of the brothers, the Confidence Factor brothers, this weekend. I love the way he put it. Right, you know, we read off the definition, but I love the way he put it. He says it's basically it's a balance. The ego is like, you know, it could be a great mechanism to balance between you know, confidence and humility. Right, the goal between confidence and humility, and it's a fine line there, right? Because you know,
Love it.
there's confidence, there's humility, and it's, you know, your ego is way, like you said, you want to self-preserve. You don't want to look stupid. You don't want to look, you know, look crazy. And we tend to let that ego jump ahead of us, right? And it's because, you know, we're not esteeming ourselves, right?
Hmm.
Our image or the view we have of ourselves is not where it needs to be. And when you have a
Yeah.
correct view of yourself, you know, honestly, you don't have to worry about how you look, right? My self-esteem is like, hey, you know what? Failure is not really failure. Mistakes are not really mistakes, right? It just, those are just indicators. So I can go ahead and keep moving forward regardless. My self-esteem is good, my self-image is good, my self-talk is good.
Yeah.
And I also
Yeah.
wanted to talk about you know, when we get a moment, I would like to talk about the difference in that between, like, you know, we said in sports, you know,
Hmm.
versus in business. You know,
Yeah.
as we were talking about this topic, I wrote you know, we wrote a couple of things down and we talked about a few things, which was that, you know, in sports, a lot of times we see that as a collective, you know, this is where one of the places that it can work, right? From the athlete's standpoint, for the athlete, right? That they come together as a collective and they have an aspiration, a hope, a dream, or a goal. They're working towards an end goal or end vision. So they come together collectively as a mission or as a team. And
Yeah.
a lot of times in business, you know, in community, we, you know, we don't see it because we have that self interest. You know, there's a, like you talked about before. You mentioned a scarcity mindset. There's
Hmm.
not enough, so I have to compete with you. I have to step on you to try to get where I'm going. And I thought that was profound when you brought that up during the meeting.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And it's like when the ego, I think I heard a quote that says when your ego gets ahead of your ambition, the game is over. Right? The game that we're playing of success, the game is over when your ego gets in front of your ambition. And it's so true because when I think of like a sports team, like you think of football team or basketball team, there is a kind of a removal of the self-interest and you kind of absorb yourself into the team's interest, which is to win a championship, right? And so everybody has that singular goal. And I think that's one of the things that so important about having a purpose, a unified purpose when you're a part of an organization, having a unified purpose
Yeah.
that is bigger than you when you join something. If you come into an organization and it's about me and my goals and my aspirations and things like that versus the team, like they do in sports, then you see a lot of dissension within the communities and dissension in organizations. I've seen that a lot where guys come into, you know, a networking community or an event and they're focused on trying to sell their product and their service instead of really moving the agenda of the organization forward, right?
Right.
Or there's an issue where because they, you know, feel like they need to be the one in the leading position or the one making decisions, if they don't have that opportunity, they don't want to be involved because again, it's about that self-interest. It's about them versus it's about the collective purpose and agreement that why we're all here. And so when that ego gets in front of the ambition, when the ego gets in front of the ambition, the collective ambition or purpose or goal of the community, then what happens is we end up having dissension and we end up having communities that don't last because we've lost sight of our purpose. And when you lose sight of your purpose, whether it be your personal life, your business, and or your overall general purpose for doing something within the community, then you have destruction. And that's so key, man. That is
Yeah.
so key. That is
And
so key.
also, I like to, you know, speak to some of the audience members as well. What are some
Yeah.
of your thoughts about ego? You know, how do you think ego plays into community as it pertains to men? And again, we're speaking specifically about men here at Confidence Factor. So, you know, if anyone has any comments about, you know, what they think ego is and how it relates to community, feel free to put your comments in. We love to get some really good feedback on this particular topic as well.
Yeah, yeah, and one of the quotes, as we talk about the ego and talk about, you know, having a purpose and having a goal that we all unify towards. There's this quote by Tony Robbins that says, "A success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure." Right? Success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. Right? So there's this sense that a lot of times when you come into these communities, like I said, when you're focused so much on yourself and you're trying to acquire success,
Yeah.
for yourself, right? You'll reach a point where you look back and you realize, my goodness, there's really no fulfillment in this because it's all about me. It's really all
Yeah.
about me instead of it's about the collective. And one of the things that we've done really well here at a confidence factor is we've gone through a process. All three of us have gone through a process which has allowed us the opportunity to be in these platforms and be together and deal with the ego as it shows up. Because don't get it twisted, the ego will always be there. Like I said before, it's part of us. It's not good, it's not bad, but we do need to understand how it operates, and we do need to know how to be able to manage the ego when it shows its and rears its head, right? So we're successful. Yeah, absolutely. And I know we have of course a gentleman online with us who's been an instrumental part of really running a lot of what we do here at Confidence Factors from the producer standpoint of these shows. And I know we'll be bringing him on shortly to kind of share his feelings and ideas about around how he feels about Confidence Factor, how he's been able to relate to us as he's joined the community. And so I don't know if you guys are ready to bring him on. We should bring him on right now to kind of share his thoughts, but I'd love to get his take on
Oh,
that.
actually, before he says anything, you ever see like when somebody's coming on stage and they get that grandiose, ladies and gentlemen, from blah blah blah, like it's not just like, hey guys, here's whatever. It's like this guy is at the pinnacle of what we call excellence. I mean, this guy, while we're sleeping, we'll wake up in the morning and find ideas and goals and aspirations and things that he puts together. He has a way of making media and videos and the things that we normally would think about look confident. And I love that about this brother because we didn't even know that we needed him until he showed up on the scene and we realized how much we needed him every single time he showed up. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for my man, all the way from Orlando, Mr. Lamont Gwen.
Lamont, what's going on, man?
Thank you so much for that introduction. I really appreciate you for that. And I really appreciate you brothers, because I tell you, this weekend was life-changing for me. It really put things in perspective, and it helped me to see Confident Factor. It helped me to understand, to see the demonstration of what you guys have been doing. And I know that's going to be part of the next conversation. But for me, being in Confidence Factor has been truly a blessing, and it's been amazing. And me, when I moved to Orlando, I was looking for groups, and there were a couple of groups that I joined, and specifically it was, listen, we're starting this group. If you want to be a part of this group, fill out the form and tell us what you want to do in the group. So you fill out the form, and then you start giving ideas. And these are ideas, really good ideas to help move the mission, but they don't use them. And then they have no really good reason. They don't give a reason, or feel they don't have to give a reason or why they don't use it. And then the group falls. But with Confidence Factor, the difference is, what I've noticed is, first, collaboration. Time after time, I watch you brothers sit down and collaborate on this show, your next moves. Man, that last shoot, that collaboration on that last shoot, you brothers, that was some really, how you work together in unison and throwing ideas, and it just was remarkable to watch. But first is collaboration, then there's consensus building. If a brother says, well, I don't get this, I don't understand this, you guys don't move until there's consensus, until until each of you understand where we're moving, where you're moving. I just love that. And then from consensus is course correction. Sometimes, it's a little hard. Sometimes you gotta say, you know what, I was wrong. I didn't do this. I did fail. I apologize. I'm going to work on that. That course correction. And then finally, it's commendation. You brothers commend each other. Like, you walk up and you pat each other on the back. You constantly do that commendation, and all of that together, man. It helped me to check my ego. Watching you brothers help me because I put together one of those videos, and when I sent it out for the group to get feedback, I'm waiting for, yeah, brother, that was good, dope, right? And then I get back, well, the voice, the sound, the music, no. And my first instinct was, wait a minute, I'm the creator, right? I'm making content. Why did what is that about, right? But then I had to check my ego. Why? Because I watched you brothers do the same thing, right? So you fall in step with leadership. And another thing that I see is that there's no one leader. There's no one person saying, I'm the boss. And that has been so instrumental. So I know that coming into Confidence Factor, I'm not the boss. I'm not the smartest one in the room. But for what I do give, I get commendation for. If I do have an idea, it's at least considered. If it's not taken, then there's a reason why it's not taken. All of that really builds true community, and I'm glad to be a part of Confidence Factor. Thank you so much, because it is truly changed my life.
Yeah, no, thank you, Lamont. Listen, and before you go back into the green room, we want to publicly just acknowledge you and thank you for being part of our dream. When we set out on this mission, we said we wanted to impact the lives of over 5 million men, and we knew we are going to need the support with the right people of excellence like yourself, to be a part of this journey. And you have come along to help us to raise the bar in the way we show up, to really add a more refinement to our production. And we really honor you and thank you, and so appreciate the gift that you are to not only us but the men that we're going to serve. And so, you said a couple of things that I really can appreciate. And that's one of the things that you said is about just, being able to honor people. And we do that because we realize it's not about us. The mission is not about us. It's about the bigger legacy in serving. And so we don't need to have this puffy chest. We don't need to have to, not acknowledge a guy when he does something amazing. And that's some of the things you're going to see in this community that makes us a differentiator. We're going to acknowledge you. Oftentimes people feel that they don't matter. They feel like they're not validated by the people in their life, whether it be their family members or their friends. They feel like, everyone always tells them what they're doing wrong, but no one supports them when they're doing something right. And we want to be those, that catalyst, the community that supports you along the way. And I think that's part of building successful community, that people feel a sense that, I'm being built up versus being torn down. That there's true collaboration, that everyone wants to see me win in this community. And, when you talk about joining the community, have you noticed, again, Lamont, have you seen that there's been an active effort to really not only promote your business? Because we didn't even talk about your business. You're in the photography world, and of course you produce videos, you do these amazing lives, you're an expression coach. I know you're advancing from that, but you make people look good in the virtual expression world, right? Virtual lives that you do. But have you seen any sort of advancements in terms of your business as a result of being a part of a community like Confidence Factor?
So here's the interesting part. When I signed up because I was looking for a client. I knew that y'all were the perfect client, right? So I did the presentation. I was ready. I was calculating the numbers and everything.
Yeah.
But when I got here, it then became about the mission. I understood that this is where I belong. And because the money didn't come from this entity, the relationships that I built thus far, it's just amazing. Like I don't have to worry about the money because the relationships are there, the connections are there. Like the people that I've met thus far in doing this has said, "Hey, I'm gonna look out. I want you to help me with this. This is a good thing. I think I might have a client for you. Call me later. We're gonna have a discussion." All of those things have happened within this community, and it wasn't an effort. It wasn't like I'm out there like with my business card throwing them out like, hey, I gotta, it wasn't like that, right? It was
Exactly.
seriously just like meeting people, having a conversation, and those conversations build relationships, and it's there's an ease to it.
Yeah, and
There's
it's
an ease
fulfilling.
to it. Yep, and it's fulfilling.
And it's fulfilling because you're not only getting your winning business, but you're doing it in an environment where you know people have your back. You
Right,
know people have your best have your
Yeah.
best insured heart.
right.
And that's what we build here at Confidence Factor. So Lamont, man, we appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I
Like I said, for
appreciate it.
the gift that you are, man.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff. Awesome stuff.
All right, I'm
So
gonna head
you
backstage.
no worries. So you guys have heard it from Lamont. Bobby, any thoughts on what Lamont just shared, man? Any thoughts on
Man, I mean, Lamont fits right in to, he said we're like basically his ideal client.
yeah.
He was like the ideal person to join, right? Someone who had an expertise, a professional, open, inviting, skill set to bring to the Confidence Factor to help push the mission or the vision forward. And one thing he talked about is the ability to be heard. You know, I want to have an opinion, I have an idea, and I don't have to submit to a hierarchy to say, oh, like I have this idea, so on and so forth. But so for the guys out there, I wanted to say, Confidence Factor, this is what we do, this is what we are. Confidence Factor is like a safe community where people, that are entrepreneurial minded, you can talk, listen, be heard, right? About what it takes to live a successful and fulfilled life, regardless of whatever setbacks or failures that you may have experienced, right?
Yeah.
Because we all go through things, right? And we're talking to guys that are between the ages of 35 and 55 years old. And when you talk to people at our age, listen, we've gone through some things. We have some experiences. We have some setbacks. Sometimes those things get in the way of pushing forward or getting to the next level. So when you have somebody like Lamont come in and say, man, this is where I wanted to be, that's a common thing that we're hearing from guys saying, hey, I don't have much friends, I don't hang out with too many people. I wanted to be heard. I wanted that, fulfillment. So he's getting what he needs from Confidence Factor. Confidence Factor is getting what it needs from him. It's a symbiotic relationship that just works. It just works. And so
Yeah.
I want to encourage any other guys out there, man, if you're, not feeling fulfilled and you need a place where you can talk, listen, and be heard, we invite you to come on board. This is about us. It's not about me, it's about we. So I wanted
Yeah.
to throw that out there. And working with Lamont, I also want to say this about him. And I know we're going into a little bit, spending some time on this, but I feel it's important. I've worked with Lamont in several different aspects as far as video and photography is concerned. And those are the two things that for me, it's like, it's a work, in my mind to do videos sometimes or to get behind the camera. Lamont has within seconds helped me to transition my mindset and be able to accomplish what, I shot videos with him. I did 3 videos in 6 minutes because of his instruction and how he came across. He's just, he's an expert. And I was able to just adjust my mindset very quickly and accomplish the task. And I'm like, man, if I was left to do this by myself, this take all day. So his expertise has gone from, taking, me a whole day to get something done to 6 minutes. That's value. And he's brought that value to the Confidence Factor. My pictures, just in my pictures, he did a couple of things. Sometimes I didn't know what to do with my face and this and that. He put me in a mindset where I can take my pictures and I got it done in 5 minutes. So I'm
Yeah.
literally saving time and I'm looking good at what I do. So that's something he's brought to the table. But as as he just said, he's getting something from it also. So when we move into the creation or this collaboration, creation versus competing, and we move into, a winning mindset, we're interested in winning and not competing, you get so much more done so fast. And it does feel like you're walking on air. Right. It does seem, seamless. So I wanted to share that about him as well.
No, absolutely. And listen, I know you guys are probably asking, you're watching this and you're asking, well, hey, so what's next? What do you guys have coming up? But I love what I'm hearing so far. I see that you guys are about collaboration. You're about helping people really advance and take themselves to the next level. We are here to provide the resources and tools to help you to grow. And so one of the things we have coming up is a challenge. We call it Unleash Your Riches Challenge. It's our next step of engagement that you can have with us. And this is a 7-day challenge where we're going to give you the opportunity to be inside of our network, inside of our mastermind. And we're going to have 7 days of being able to engage, really to help to shift your mindset. give you an action plan that's going to help you to start to, look at things a little differently for your life, really taking yourself to the next level. And of course, the levels of accountability, because listen, if you're going to be succeeding in life, you always need to have somebody there to hold you along the way, to provide the resources, the insight, the course corrections that you need for success. So we're providing that accountability. We're providing a community that's going to support you in your growth. And of course, we want to help to have you shift, remove some of those limiting beliefs that you have that's stopping you. One thing we talked about at the top of the show is about ego. And if you not aware about the ego and how it limits you, how it stops you from being able to have expression and to be able to connect with people, to build a relationship, like Lamont said, if we'd allowed his ego to stop him from being able to really connect with us in a meaningful way, that could have limited his business opportunities, because he could, there's a way to thrive when you release the things that's there to hold you back. And so I want to recommend that you guys definitely join our confidence, factor, Unleash Your Riches community. And the link is in the description. So if you just see above, you see the words above this video, there's a link that will take you over to the landing page. Go ahead and sign up, and we'll look forward to seeing you, in our challenge. It starts in October 5th to the 11th. And so we have a full week of engagement in these conversations about really applying the success principles that's going to help you to grow, to succeed, and most of all, feel fulfilled in your success. And that's what's so critical in this particular process. So, of course, let's go ahead and roll, a video. We have a video coming up. Let's go ahead and roll that video. If you have Beautiful, beautiful. So you seen exactly, you see that. I get excited every time I see that, So, we certainly look forward to seeing you guys in the challenge. We had a great time putting it together, and we know a lot of men out there need to be part of a process and a community to make that shift so that you can start to move towards purpose, attract more money in your life, create more opportunities, and take yourself to the next level. So the next part of our discussion, man, we want to really talk about what we did as a community to make this thing work, right? Because we didn't get to this point. We didn't get to this effect. We didn't get to being able to have difficult conversations and, work with each other by chance. We didn't get here by chance. We had to really make sure that we looked at, ourselves and made sure that we managed expectations very, very well before we started this journey, because each one of us came from different backgrounds. As entrepreneurs, we had our own personal experience, and those experiences, affect the decisions that we make. And ultimately, when we join groups or associations, it affects the way we view that association and our position in our association. So there's something very critical that we had to do to make sure that we set the right type of foundation for success. Because when you step out on a mission, you have a responsibility to make sure that we really make sure that you put the right process in place, the right systems in place, and have the right mindset to be able to move forward and create success. So, Bobby, I wanted to kind of toss this over to you because, one of the things that was so instrumental, I think you were instrumental in making sure that this happened, that we got to the table and had a discussion. So if you want to share a little bit about what we did specifically to really make sure we built the right foundation for success.
So for last year, last year we got together, because we had some concerns about, moving forward and what we were doing. And we basically came to the table and we talked about, our strengths and our weaknesses, right? Our strengths and weaknesses, and really just, became transparent is the word I want to use, right? Transparent about where we are, what we hope to accomplish, and, what's going on in our lives individually, and what we thought it was going to take to move this vision forward, if we were going to move forward with it. I know one of the things I had brought up, I said, look, if I'm going out to battle side by side with you brothers, I want to know what's going on with you, not necessarily because I want to be nosy, but I'm like, hey, listen, if you're, Like if we're lions going out to eat and go to hunt, your left foot is bothering you. I like to know about it, because that way, if I see something that is opposing you on your left side near that back foot, then guess what? I know I can help compensate and, pick up the slack in an area where, you may not be where you want to be. Right. And this is the thing about the competing versus winning. I'm more interested in winning. We are all more interested in winning than we are in how we look and, to other people. Because this to me, this is a brotherhood. So we sat at the table, we got around the table, and we actually did the inner work. Right. We talked with coaches. We talked about where we are, what we wanted to do, what we hope to accomplish, and what things are going on in our lives individually. And we talked about those things, and we came to a collective agreement about what we thought it was going to take to move ourselves forward. So we did a lot of work between now and then. So just to touch on it a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's so critical, because I think all of us, it's interesting when you brought that up. I was happy that you brought that up, and I'll tell you why. Because I remember when I went through my major failure in my first business, failure meaning my learning lesson, my transformational moment, right? Because failure is just all about feedback. When I went through that moment in my own business, one of the things that really was an error that I made in my business was not really getting to understand and learn who my partner was, right? So I had this business partner. We grew this business really fast. We're bringing on a lot of clients. We're making a lot of money. So from an outside success, it looked great. But internally, we never really knew each other. We just got into business because the transaction looked good. Making money was the objective, and that part was good. But if making money is your only goal without a proper foundation, then at some point things can happen and make this thing crumble. And that's what happened to me. And so, because we never knew each other, because we never understood some of our, our ego nature, right? As we're talking about ego, the ego nature, what end up happening for us is that there's some things that happen, and because we didn't manage expectations well, guess what? We end up splitting and going separate ways, and the business, basically crumbled. And so when I came to the table and I heard you say that, I was already in the mindset that I didn't want to get into business with people or, create a partnership with anyone until we got transparent, until we really got to know each other. Because as you said, we're going to go into battlefield. When you're going to partner with someone in an organization or business, they're going to be tough times. There are going to be times when you deal with a lot of pushback. You're going to deal with obstacles. You're going to deal with, times when you're not feeling up to the task. There are going to be times when you need your partners to say, hey, listen, man, it's about the mission. Let's keep moving forward. And how you respond to that, in those moments will determine if you move forward or not. So that was very critical for me, coming from that position, to realize that, wow, when you brought that to the table, that's important. That's important that we assess what's going on. And and go ahead, Rudy. I know you got something to share.
No, yeah, I want to piggyback off what you said, because I think it's critical to know who you're working with. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times, and again, I'm from the island of Haiti, and in Haiti, when you do business with people, these are people that you don't just do business once. A lot of times, you do business over and over again. It's in a small place, so the word gets around quick. Their family, their kids, their grandmothers, grandfathers. Like, these are people in your own town, and your own city, sometimes even in your own neighborhood. It's kind of like when you think of tissue, what's the first name that comes to mind? Kleenex, right? And it's the same thing in a small island. When you think of the carpenter, man, that's Pierre. When you think of the construction guy, oh yeah, that's Bob over there. When you people had not, it wasn't about their title. It was about their names and what it meant to you, what that person meant to you. And I think for us, when I look past beyond Darian, the marketing guy, Bobby, the real estate guy, but I looked at the person themselves, and we were able to know one another in that sense, and constantly growing in that. It's not just a one time thing. We've had several conversations from then that allowed us to continue to say, you good, everything, everything's going straight, anything you need, how can I help you in your endeavors? Like, we're constantly in each other's presence to help one another grow, because we realize when we do it for ourselves, we're not only doing it for us, but we're initially becoming the community that we desire. And
That's it.
that's what I love. That's what I
That's
love.
it. That's
Yeah.
it.
And I want to point out, Javon made a statement. Basically, Javon says, everyone wins when you stop competing with each other and completing each other.
Ooh,
Powerful,
Nice,
powerful,
nice,
powerful.
nice,
Everyone wins when you
nice.
stop competing with each other and completing each other. Very, very big statement. Very
that
powerful statement.
that's everything right there.
Very powerful.
That boy
Yeah.
good. That boy good.
Yeah, that boy good. He good. He
What?
good now. He good.
And what's the other thing he said over the weekend? He said, we can't just be, he said something about honoring. Remember that
Yeah.
too?
Yes,
He said that
yes.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's in the way that you communicate with someone, it's one thing to be honest, but when you're honest with someone, also make sure you're honoring that person too. Is he was
Yep.
talking about just the way in
Respect.
which you communicate and how you land on the person when you communicate to that person. So it's about honoring them to open up the space for communication versus closing the communication by the way we speak to people. And so that was very, very profound. And I wanted to add to that because being complete, that word being complete is something that I take a lot of stock in. And what I mean by that is being complete doesn't mean that everything is always going to be rosy. One of the things that we did that I really, really appreciate is we looked at the things that were not great about ourselves. A lot of people may think, well, we only probably just had this high level conversation. No, we had a heart level conversation. Heart level conversations mean that we really dug deep into understanding some of our natures that doesn't work, some of the
Mhm.
things that doesn't really serve us, and some of the things that we went through in our past relationships, whether that be in business or whether it be relationships with our father or relationships with our mother or relationships all around that we already had a perception about, or the way we operate in certain relationships that doesn't necessarily serve us, and we were willing to share that with each other because
Right.
ultimately, here's the deal. When you go into battle, like what Bobby said, you need to know if your partner has a certain, we'll use the word weakness, right? We use the word weakness, but we don't look at it as weakness in the sense that there's something wrong. We all have areas in our life that we have to work on. We all have areas of life where we can improve upon. So that's an area where, hey, you can build a little more muscle in, right? But if you know that about your partner, you can then be that support person in those times when you see them kind of not using that muscle enough, or not stepping up to the plate enough, or not honoring the mission. It gives us the space to be able to say to each other, hey, listen, we need to do better. Hey, listen, you said you're going to do this, but you didn't do it. How can you renew the commitment to the mission? So it doesn't become personal. It becomes about
Right.
the mission. It becomes about the purpose. And we all can fall in line and say, yeah, I know that's my tendency to do that, and we can call each other out on those tendencies that doesn't serve us individually and doesn't serve us as a collective. And I think that's so critical because typically for men, that's the part of us that we usually hide. That's the part that we don't typically share
Mhm.
because we're afraid of being judged. We're afraid of people thinking a certain way about us, and it's a part of the way we protect ourselves. And so when we were able to do that, it allowed for us to really, really bring true, honest discussion to each other. And when things go wrong, which they will go wrong in any relationship, we have a way and a framework of how to deal with that. We have the ability and the equity in our relationship to be able to have these heart level and honest conversations with each other about what we need to do to keep moving forward with the mission. And that is a critical point. And I want guys to really get that with respect to the way our community is built. This is a safe space for us to be able to share with each other and get real, because in communication and communicating in that way, that opens up the space for transformation. That opens up the space for us to keep moving forward. Yeah, you're going to say something, Woody?
No, I was just making sure you complete first before I say it.
and see, and that's another way we honor each other, right? We make sure each other is complete before we just jump in. Sometimes people just want to hear themselves talk, instead of really giving the people opportunity of full expression. So we honor each other in that regard. So with that, my man Rudy, I know you always have something amazing to share with the world. So the thing is on you, man.
Yeah, no, I was saying that it's amazing to me how much we've accomplished in 1 year because of the power of unison. And I want people to chime in a little bit and talk about, if this has been good value to you, if this has been helpful, if you part of a community or you're looking to be part of a community, I need you to do a couple of things. Number one, I need you to grab our book. That's right. I said it. I need you to grab our book. Why? Because you're going to understand our mindset behind what we do. If you go to 7steps.confidencefactor.com, you can grab our book so that you can read about the 7 steps to unstoppable confidence. Why? Because we realize once you know who you are, once you understand what triggers you, what helps you along the way of being confident, then you can show up in any community and be of value into that community. So that you're not easily offended, you're not easily devalued, you're not easily, shaken. Because why? Because you understand where you stand as it relates to who you are and your purpose in that community. So if this has been valuable to you, I want you to put #valuable if you're enjoying this information. The second thing I'd like for you to do, I'd like for you to make sure you go into our page and you like Confidence Factor, because it's important for us to know who our audience is, who's listening, who's getting some of this stuff, who we're impacting in our conversations, because we want to see men win. Not just compete, but we want you to win in everything in life: your family, your business, your finances, your spiritual life, and of course your fitness, your health. We want to see you win. That's what I wanted to share before we close out for the night.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rudy. We appreciate you guys. We appreciate you joining us, spending some time with us tonight. Ego is a big thing. It's a big thing. And we wanted to address it because we realized that there's a lot of competing and there's not enough winning. And what we're looking forward to is we're looking to win. And again, I wanted to reiterate that Confidence Factor is a safe space for entrepreneurial-minded men to talk, to listen, to be heard, to share about what it takes to live a successful and fulfilled life, regardless of whatever setbacks or failures that you may have experienced. A lot of times, typically we see with men, we see anger. We don't see too much emotions. We see anger, we see aggression, or we see like hypersexuality. You're going to get a range of emotions from us Confidence Factor men. We may cry, we may laugh, we may get hot. We're going to talk about it. We're going to do things that you normally wouldn't see. And this is a great community, a great space for you guys to be in. We appreciate you joining. Join us next week. We're going to be talking about what does a healthy ego look like? What does a healthy ego look like? So we talked about some of these other things. We want to discuss what does a healthy ego look like. We want to hear back from you guys. We appreciate you joining us tonight. Grab the book, sign up for the challenge. The link is in the description. We appreciate you guys joining us. We're on every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. And fellas, you know what we do, how we close it out. Remember, guys, everything that you do in life, no matter what you do in life, we always want you to keep it heart level. Keep it heart level. We'll see you guys next week.
Take care, boy.